Today I'm going to take a look at EzArcher. EzArcher was brought to my attention through a comment made by Trust Jesus XYZ, and he had mentioned in his comment that he uses EzArcher and really likes it. And when I read that comment, I immediately thought to myself, wow, you know what? I don't think I've ever taken a look at EzArcher or even featured it. That sounds interesting. So I decided to go out and take a look, and I am liking what I see. Right now I'm out at the SourceForge website, and they give a little bit of an overview of what EzArcher is. And so EzArcher Linux is a full-featured Arch-based Linux desktop, and the ISOs provided are Cinnamon, GNOME, KDE, LXQt, Mate, and XFCE desktops. It also comes with two installation methods, which are the Calamares installer and the traditional Arch way. So this sounds like a great way to get into a pure Arch installation using an easy method like the Calamares. So I really like this idea here. It also shows here on the website that they give out the passwords for the live version, which is really nice because I find myself a lot of times testing out live versions and they don't typically give out the passwords, or at least make them accessible in an easy way to find. So you got to end up guessing or searching through the website, which I never quite understood. So it's nice to see. And so the user password here is showing that it would be live. And that is also the user login as well. And then they even give the root password, which is Tor, T-O-O-R. Got to give them extra credit for that for sure. Like I said before, I'm here at the SourceForge website here for EzArcher. And so we can just go ahead and download this. If we look down here a little bit, we got some screenshots, and it's very nice looking screenshots. And then the different ISOs that are available here. You got GNOME, KDE, LXQt, XFCE, LXDE, and so forth. So lots of choices. I really like that. I'm not really sure which one is the flagship. I'm just going to jump up here and hit the regular download button, I think. But I really like the choices. I'm assuming this probably maybe KDE or XFCE. But I'm going to go ahead and download this, and then let's load it in, and I'll be right back. Okay, here we are. I'm at the main startup menu here for EzArcher, and a nice looking grub screen there. So I'm going to just go ahead and boot right into the live edition here and type in the password, which is live. So I can just log in here. And in a second, we should see a desktop. And actually, it's loading pretty good here for the first time live install. So, wow, nice looking desktop right off the bat. Here we can see our main menu. I don't see the installer, so I'm just going to go ahead and type it in here, do a search. I guess I'll just type in install. And there it is. So I'm going to just hit that. I'm just going to get right down to it and do the install here first. And so we're going to authenticate live. And nice looking Calamares template there. I like it. So I'm going to hit next. And then the defaults are good. So I'm going to go next. And the defaults again auto-detected the settings. Now I'm going to just erase the disk because there's nothing on this disk that I want to keep. So I think I'm good there. And I'm going to hit the swap to file option. Now I'm just going to add in a username. And the top line is a friendly name, and then all the rest is filled in for you. Now I'm just going to give it a password, and I'm just going to go with the defaults, but you do have an option for require strong passwords and to log in automatically. But I'm just going to hit next here, and now we got a little overview of what is going to happen, and that all looks good to me, so I'm going to hit install, and then reconfirm. And there we go. So now we're off and running. It was that easy to get the install handled. So there we go. I'm going to go ahead and let this run, and then I'm going to hit pause, and I'll be right back when it's finished. And it's all done. That didn't take very long at all. So I'm going to hit done here. That was maybe 5 minutes. Very quick install, so easy peasy. I'm going to go down here. I'm just going to shut down, remove the ISO, and then I will be right back. Okay, here we are. We are at the grub install menu here, and it looks like everything went well. So that's a good sign when it boots up. So we should be in our KDE environment any second now, and here we are. So I'm just going to go ahead and log in. And also up here we got our Plasma and our Wayland sessions, so I can see that we got X11 available as well, which is great. I prefer X11, but I'm just going to go ahead and go in as a Wayland session first. I'm not a big fan of Wayland because Wayland is still really not there yet, but I always want to give it a chance. So let's just kind of see how everything is going on here. So here's our desktop. It's looking nice, beautiful. So far so good. I'm liking what I'm seeing. Even a nice background there. So the install was really quite flawless. Here we got some updates available through Discover. So the first thing you should always do when you install a new system is to let the updates run so that you're current. That way anything that you install after that, you're not going to have complications with. So here's our updater, and again, that's Discover is the GUI interface for this. It's also the package manager. I'm just going to hit update all and just let it update everything. And then that should start kicking in, and then it's just going to run those updates. And I think I'm just going to pause the video and let it finish, and then I'll be back when it's done. Okay, and that didn't take too long. A few minutes and everything is updated, so we're good there. And then here's our pinned applications. And then here in our system, you can see, I'm just going to open up the console real quick. I'm going to pin that to the taskbar because I like having the console pinned as well in this window area here, or our applications. So everything else is pinned that I use all the time anyway. So we got all the essentials now. For me, the console is one of the essentials. I'm just going to hit fast fetch here and just kind of get an overview of what we got. So here we're showing KDE Plasma 6.5.2, the Breeze theme with Noto Sans fonts at 10 points. All pretty reasonably set up and configured the way I like it anyway. And oh wow, look at that. The kernel is a 6.12 LTS kernel. So that's actually a very smart way to install Arch, in my opinion. Having the stable kernel there is usually a good idea. You're not plagued with updates every 30 minutes. And you just get a more stable experience. And running HTOP here, I can see that our memory usage is a little up there. It's around a gig. Compared to Windows, I guess that's light as a feather. But typically, KDE is a little bit lighter, but I am in a virtual environment, so that could be adding some overhead there. And then I'm going to open up Dolphin as well. And so here's our Dolphin file manager, and that's looking good. Also, I'm going to open up my settings here. I think I'm going to change my theming real quick. I prefer a dark look. And so by changing dark, we're not blinding each other. Well, I'm not being blinded. But I like the dark look better. And it also changed the background too, to a dark version of the same wallpaper, which is a nice feature in KDE, which originally was a GNOME thing, I think. They kind of came up with that first. And then KDE devs said, hey, GNOME, that's a cool idea. We're going to do that as well. And so here's a little bit of just an overview. I just want to see real quick the different wallpapers. I'll probably change those a little bit later, but just kind of want to see what we got in here. And pretty nice choice there overall. And then if I come in here, the quick settings is pretty much the starting point here. And I see clicking files or folders selects them as the default, which is what I prefer. And the other thing that I usually like to do is just, if you're a lefty, here's the place where you want to change your mouse to left-handed mode, so you don't have to flip the mouse upside down. So that's always a plus. First thing I'd like to do is go into the keyboards and go into the shortcuts, actually. But here's your overall keyboard settings, and you can add your different layouts and so forth if you need to. But I just turned on numlock because I like the numlock turned on. And then forgot I got to apply that. I'm used to instant feedback and other desktops, and I'm just going to pop up a little bit out of the way. And Here's for Dolphin. I'm going to change. It looks like the keyboard shortcut is Super E, which is fine. I just press Super E right now and it opened right up. And that's a keyboard shortcut I use anyway. Konsole, it looks like Control-Alt-T is the keyboard shortcut for that. I kind of like Super Return, so I think I'm going to change that. I can uncheck it and replace it, or just leave it checked and add to it. But when you uncheck it, just click Add anyway. Then I press Super Return and you can see it show up there in the button, hit Apply. And now if I hit Super Return, it opens up the console just fine. So that's how you would change or replace the key binding there. Replacing, of course, by unchecking. I'm also going to show the menu on the console. That's just a little more handy in case I need to access some extra features like console settings and so forth. So that's just a me thing. And then we got other items in here. I wonder if Firefox is in here. I believe that's the default browser. So I'm going to do that by just clicking the button here, Add New, Application, and then I'm going to select Internet and then Firefox here from the menu. And then under Launch, I'm going to create the keyboard shortcut for launching. Click Add, hit Super W, and that's already assigned to Overview Window Management. Okay, let's try Super B instead. And that's also being used for Switch Power Profile of Power Management. I don't really need that, so I'm just going to reassign it. And so now Super B should open up my web browser, and there we go. I just hit Super B. There's Firefox bouncing around the icon. And there we go. So there's all the first time steps. And I'm just going to skip all those to speed things up a bit. And there we go. We got a bunch of stuff on a home page. Nice. So I'm going to just jump up here. I see it's even got the weather up there. That's cool as well. I like it. Nice little feature. About Firefox, and looks like we're running the latest version, which currently is 145.9, I think that was. So excellent. So that kind of got me going on some of my essential basic key bindings here. Let's also take a look at the window management. In window management, we can add some more good features here like window rules. First, I'm going to create some virtual desktops though, because I like having a lot of workspaces to work with. And I'm just constantly in the way here, so I'm just going to slide to the other side of the screen. And then I'm going to hit Apply. And there we go. So now we got our multiple desktops. Now, the reason I did that is because I want to go in here to window rules. And for Firefox, I'm just going to put in a friendly description here so I know what I'm doing. Firefox to Workspace 2. I want it to open in Workspace 2. I'm going to use substring match and then have it look for Firefox. Substring is a little more relaxed, so that way it doesn't care if it's upper or lowercase. Then I'm going to select virtual desktops here and then select desktop 2 and apply it. Now if I open up Firefox, it should open right up in desktop 2. Another thing I want to do is I selected Kwin scripts and I'm going to hit get new. And I want to download a application called Kronkite or a script. So I'm going to hit install here. And Kronkite will give me tiling abilities. I like to have tiling windows available here in KDE. And KDE is really a nice environment for this. So now that we got Kronkite, I'm going to just check the box here. To activate it, hit apply, and boom, we're tiling. So now I got tiling windows, which is really cool. By the way, you can toggle the tiling on and off just with the key binding Super F. And that'll let it float, and then hit Super F again, and it'll go back to tiling. So now that we got that, I'm going to go back to my keyboard shortcuts here. And there's a thing here called window management inside keyboard shortcuts. And here I can set up some window related key bindings, which are handy. Like, for example, switching to these different desktops or workspaces. Desktop 1 by default is Control F1. So you can use Control F1, Control F2, and 3 and so forth to get to different workspaces, which is fine. That's not a big deal, but I'm used to using the super key with that. So I'm just going to change those real quick. Super 1. And then I'm going to do it with the rest of them. Super 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. Hit reassign. And then I'm just going to do the same thing down here. I'm going to just hit add, reassign. And again, add super 3, reassign. And then super 4, and so on. So it's that easy to do keyboard shortcuts. You don't have to go in and edit a config file and understand a programming or anything to do this. So KDE makes it really nice if you're not the programmer type. You just want to make things happen. So I like it. It's all very visual, very user-friendly. And then for close window, default is Alt F4. I want to change that to Super Q. And I'm just going to go ahead and reassign that. It's already assigned to Plasma Workspace. That's all right. I'm good with that. So now we got Super Q. That'll close a window. So if I come over here and Super Q. So now I want to just test it. And because I forgot to test Firefox and it opened up. Nice. In Workspace 2. So glad to see that. And create a profile. Okay, I guess that's something you can set up for theming maybe. Not sure. But it's cool anyway. And it's opening up a new window. Yeah, so I guess I'll just give it a name just for fun. Why not? Let's explore it. I've never messed with this, so. Jax, and how about maybe Violet? That looks like a good choice. So I'm going to hit that. Now we got the violet look. Cool. I'm down with that. And I just hit Super Q and it kind of gave me a... I guess I didn't save that. Super Q. Yeah, I forgot to apply it. Keep forgetting that. Most of the desktops I'm in are pretty much instantaneous. I don't have to hit apply. They just happen when I do it. So I keep getting messed up in KDE because of that. I don't know why KDE doesn't update real time like the other desktops. I never quite understood that. It's such a great desktop. So anyways, back here in the window management under shortcuts, I also want to be able to move windows to other workspaces. So to do that, I got to come all the way down here to where it says window to desktop. There's also a move to screen, moves to different monitors, but I want to move to different desktops because I'm using one monitor. So I want to use Super Shift 1 and Super Shift 2 and so on to move things to different workspaces. So I'm just going to repeat that. There we go. So now I can easily move windows. I just moved something there. So that easily fixed my management problem just for workspaces. It's not really a problem, but I just wanted to reassign the shortcut keys that I like for doing this stuff. And now I guess I got to move again because I'm always in the way. So I'm going to slide back over here and just kind of scooch down in this corner. So let's take a look at some of our other settings here. We got our sound settings. And notification sounds, I'm just going to turn that way down. Sometimes I just turn it off, but having it way down is better. They're kind of annoying when they're as loud as the other sounds, so I like those backed off a bit. Then we have our display settings, and we're currently at 1920 by 1080. We got our refresh rate, which in this setup is just at 60 hertz, but Wayland is really good for insane refresh rates. If you're like some kind of serious gamer, then Wayland is definitely for you because you can get those insane refresh rates. And there's our nightlight. Here, no printers are currently hooked up to this machine, so no printers, but printing is really easy. It shouldn't be an issue at all to hook up printing. Here we got our connectivity here. I'm not using Wi-Fi on this, but Wi-Fi just works in KDE, which is another thing I like. Colors and themes. Here we can rice out our theme a little bit more. So like if we come over here to colors, it's showing by default, it's grabbing from the color scheme. But I like grabbing the color from the current wallpaper, which right now is this violet color because the wallpaper is quite violet looking. So I like that. That's kind of one of my favorite features is that color from wallpaper grab there. So I'm going to go with that. And so now if I go and refresh my Dolphin, I'm just going to close it and then open it back up again. And hey, it didn't refresh. It should be like in violet looking. So did I forget to apply it again? I bet I did. I did. Okay, so I hit apply. Now it should, there we go. I always forget apply. I'm sure if I use KDE for a while though, I would get used to hitting apply every time I make a change. But in XFCE and all that, it's pretty much instantaneous. So then we got like our Plasma style if you want to give an overall change on your theme. Window decorations, that's like the top bar on your different windows. So you can change the style for that as well. Right now, by default, there's no window borders. I could add window borders as well, like, say, normal ones. Or you could choose tiny or whatever. But I kind of like the breeze, and I just chose normal window borders. And then moving down into our status bar here, we got our pinned applications. I'm just going to open that up. And now let's run over to window management real quick. And I'm going to go back into our Kwin scripts and just show you the configuration in Kronkite here. I do a lot of my window rule stuff outside of Kronkite, but this is worth taking a look at here. Here we got our default layouts here for Kronkite. And I typically just go with the defaults on everything. Here's our geometry. We can add gaps if you want to have gaps in between your windows that are open, which a lot of people really like the gaps. And I think they're okay too, but they tend to waste space too if you make them too big. And then of course we got our behavior. We can even have it in DWM style for adjusting layouts and resizing windows. And then we can also tailor our window rules right within Kronkite itself. So for example, if I wanted to just open up a specific or exempt a file from tiling, I could add it in there by class. We can also specifically float windows by class or by title. Like for example, the system settings by title. I don't know if that's going to actually work there because the title technically was configure-system settings. It's kind of dynamic, so that's probably not going to apply, but I'll just hit it in there anyway, just for the sake of example. And yeah, that didn't take, but using something more practical like putting Dolphin in there instead would work, I think. And let's just try that again. That should work actually. So let me apply that to Dolphin, then reopen Dolphin, and it should float. And it's not. That's strange. I'm not sure what the deal is there. I've never seen that not work before, actually. You know what? I think it's because of Wayland. I'm going to log out here real quick. I forgot about that. Wayland is really flaky, and this is one of the reasons I don't feel that Wayland's ready for prime time, even though all these distros out there are forcing it on people. So I'm going to go here to Plasma X11, log in, and I'm going to just try it again, because I highly suspect that's probably what the deal is. I could be wrong. You know, maybe I'm wronging Wayland here, but I doubt it. So, okay, we're back in. I'm going to try it again. Super E to open up Dolphin. And let's just go into our settings real quick just to kind of get back to where we were. Now let's open up Dolphin. And there it is. It's floating. So now we got system settings, full screen in the background, and a floating Dolphin file manager. And as you can see, the other items are tiling just like they should. And Dolphin is the exception. So yeah, that was a Wayland issue. Not real surprise there. And so now we're back in good old X11. And the rules are working according to the laws of the universe once again. So I'm going to jump back over here. And let's take a look at default applications. And here under default applications in our settings, we got Firefox. But if you had a different browser, like for example, Chrome or Brave or something like that, where you could switch it right there. And the same with other things like your multimedia player and so forth, Office, which is not installed by default, which is nice. It gives you more choice so you can choose what you like. I just opened up Discover because I want to take a quick look at this. And we're getting a little message up here. Support for managing packages from Arch is incomplete. You may experience some problems and bugs. Looks like doesn't have Flatpaks or snaps by default. So interesting. I never saw that before. I never knew Discover had issues with Arch. So I'm not sure why that is now an issue with Discover. Maybe has something to do with converting to Wayland or something. I don't know. But let's go ahead and install something, VLC. And I'm just going to hit install with Archlinux just to show an install here through the Discover Package Manager. And then you can see it's loading reviews as well, which is kind of nice. So it's a nice visual reference and gives you a little perspective on feedback that's available as well. But I like personally installing through the terminal. So I'm bringing up the console here and I'm going to install Inkscape just so you can see a compare and contrast between the two. One of the reasons I really like the terminal is it's just a simple command and boom, you got it. Except I got to spell my password right. And getting it wrong twice in a row. What's up with this? There we go. Okay, third time lucky. And so I'm going to go ahead and proceed. Can't even spell my own password. So there we go. So now Inkscape is installed. So we got two different apps installed by two different methods, one visually and one through the console. So if I come back over here under multimedia, I can see that VLC player is installed. And up here under graphics, I should see there's Inkscape. So wonderful. They both installed just fine and showed up. And then I'm going in here, I just clicked on the settings button for the menu because I want to switch sidebar categories by hovering because I prefer those switching as I hover. To me, that's nicer. I don't like having to click just to see what's in there. So I like that. And what's this? Show favorites, sidebar position, show enter applications, show other applications. In a grid, that would look nicer, I think. So I'm going to do that. To me, that's got more of a modern look. Hit apply, and let's see what that looks like. Yeah, there we go. I like that. The grid look over there on the right-hand side. Cool. Okay, I'm good with that. So I'm going to hit OK. And since I'm down here, let's see what else we got. So no Office installed. I like only Office, so it's nice that I got that choice. I could just go and install that if I want. Under System, we got Easy Maintenance. So that looks like a custom script here for EzArcher. EzArcher maintenance script. So that's nice. So here we got this menu, and it looks like we got a choice here. Number one is run system update, reset all Pacman keys, which is pretty handy. Sometimes they get messed up in Arch, so that's an easy way to do it. Regenerate mirror list, clean package cache, journal space, clean user cache. So very nice. Also enable Bluetooth and firewall services. So very cool. Those are some real essential, nice services to have available in an easy to manage system. So good on them. I like that. Here we got HTOP, manage printing. So most of the standard stuff you see in KDE, but a few extras too, like the HTOP. Nice. Under utilities, we got Vim, we got Sweeper, which helps to clean unwanted traces of user left system stuff. Spectacle, which is a screenshot utility. That's a nice one. Kate, which is a nice text editor. KeyPass XC, that's good to see on there. Genie, one of my favorite editors there. And under development, you can see Genie also We got CMake, which shows that the developer stuff is installed as well. So that's nice to see. The base devel stuff. And under graphics, we got our document scanner. Here we got internet. We got our Firefox FileZilla, which is nice, and a BitTorrent client. And then, of course, we got our VLC player that we did, SM player, and MPV, which are some of my favorites. Here we got AbiWord installed and Numeric, which is a light spreadsheet type app. And then, of course, down here on our status bar, we got like our brightness control, our volume, and then our networking, and then our hidden stuff, like our notifications, KDE Connect, display configuration, and power management. It's all the cool stuff. I'm going to click on power management real quick. And here it gives you a nice, easy way to switch on and off your sleep and screen locking. I don't like having the screen lock on, so I can just manually block that, which is really nice, easy access to it. And so that's an annoyance I can just turn off right off the bat. So very nice. I like that easy access. And it does have its place. For my home situation, I don't really need screen locking. Here we got our clock, which is really nice. Click on it and we got this calendar, which is beautiful. We can also go into our clock settings by clicking on that icon. And here we could change things around with our clock if we want, time zone and so forth. And then here we got our seconds. So if you want to turn that on, switch it to always, apply it, and then there's our seconds. So sometimes that's pretty handy to have. But I'll just put it back to only in the tooltip there. That was the default setting. And then our text display, you can even change your fonts and their sizes and all that. But I'm good with the default. I like it just the way it is. So that's cool. And then I just right-clicked on my desktop. I want to take a closer look at our desktop folder settings and just kind of see our different wallpapers here. I never really took a look at any of these. So let's check some of these out. And that's a nice background, actually. I like that, the lake with a boat. Then we got the darkest hour, and that's really quite a pretty clean contrast there. Not too busy when you have a lot of icons on the desktop, especially. So that's important. Here we have mountains, and of course this is the dark version of mountain. As you can see, it's split there diagonally, showing a light and dark version that is available depending on the theme that you got. If you're in a light theme, then it'll load the light version. This is the dark version of the scarlet tree. Nice. A scenic tree, I mean. Scarlet. Here we got shell. So yeah, a lot of nice looking backgrounds. This is one of my favorite, Autumn 5.5. That's been in the KDE choices there for quite a while. Then we got our chaser. Nice. Another nice one. That's actually quite nice. I guess for continuity, though, I'll just kind of stick with my default. But, you know, the default is actually really quite good there. So I think the team made a fine choice with that one. So, wow. You know, I think I covered everything. This is kind of how I would set this up, I guess, if I was just going to install KDE and start using it on my own desktop. I am really super impressed with this EzArcher. I'm glad TJ turned me on to this because this is nice to know about. In fact, the next time I install Arch, I'm just liable to go the EzArcher way. Although I've installed straight up Arch so many times that it's really not a problem for me to do that. But it's really nice to have these alternatives where you can get a pure Arch install using Calamares, which really takes the pain out of it. And even with the Calamares installer available in the live environment, you still got the option of just doing it the Arch way. And I think that is just over the top cool. So what can I say? Having a more pure Arch experience on the install, to me, just gives you a more stable overall environment in general. So I really like this method and this approach, and EzArcher really hit on something nice that I really like. So again, Mr. Trust Jesus XYZ, thanks for turning me on to this, and you didn't even mean to. But but I like it. And this is another great thing to have in my arsenal. This is something I'm going to keep an eye on, and I'll probably be reviewing again in the future when things change a little bit here and there. All I can say is double thumbs up on this. So I just can't help but to give this a 5-star review for sure. I hope my fiddling around here on the Arch environment was helpful to at least someone out there. And if it was, or wasn't, don't forget to leave that thumbs up. It's always helpful to the algorithm. It's a great way to support the channel without having to spend any money, just hitting that thumbs up. And if you want to next level support the channel, you can subscribe. And if you want to go the next level above subscribe, you can buy me a coffee. Wahoo! So with that, I want to thank everyone for watching, and don't forget to hit subscribe. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.